What's up everyone, I'm Toast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing some insane battles in the Psychic Cup running a triple Slowpoke family team. We just had Slowpoke Community Day with all evolutions learning Surf, so it felt like the perfect time to run this team. Now this was supposed to be a fun meme team and it should really struggle against Pokemon like Bruxish, Malamar and even a Alolan Raichu in the lead, but despite that I managed to go positive in all 6 sets I did with this team, gaining 150 elo in the process. It is also incredibly late right now, by the way, and I can barely keep my eyes open, so I will turn off my webcam for the battles. But with that being said, let's get into the question of the day. What is the best trade you've ever done in Pokemon Go? Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Alright, so going into the first battle, we lead into an Alolan Raichu, and we are lagging quite a lot here. We're going to swap into the Slowbro, the opponent gonna go for a Wild Charge that does so much damage. We should at least make it to the Surf, but for some reason we can't get it off. And at that point, I'm just going to concede the match there. I was playing on my mobile data. Usually that's better, but obviously in this case it wasn't. Hopefully the Wi-Fi does work better. And into the next battle, we lead into Malamar, a Pokemon that I really don't want to see with this team. But you can see Slowpoke is actually fairly bulky there. We took that quite well. They're going to have to go for another Foul Play. We go for a Water Pulse. We get there one turn before they get to a second Foul Play. And that is great. We put them into range where we can fully Poison Jab, farm down the Malamar just before they make it to a Foul Play. That is really good for us here. I'm now going to go for a Surf, and one Surf should pretty much put them into range where I can come in with my own Galarian Slowking, and a Surf will be enough to take them out. Gonna shield here. My opponent full sends the Shadow Ball before swapping into their Galarian Rapidash. I myself am now gonna full send the Shadow Ball. We do get a shield from the opponent. My opponent is over farming quite a lot. Unfortunately, I don't get off the charge move there, but I do at least get the Hex through, and we can now go for a Surf. Luckily, Mega Horn doesn't quite take us out as it is a neutral, and at this point, I'm going to be able to get a Surf off if I shield here. So I am going to shield, the Hex goes through, we take them out, I swap into my Slowbro, we get to another Surf. This should be grabbing the final shield from my opponent. Now my opponent has to farm 2 back-to-back charge moves, otherwise I will make it to the Surf in time. They go for a Shadow Ball. Do they have the back-to-back? No, they don't. And I can now get off the Surf, and it takes out their Galarian Slowking, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we see Shadow Gardevoir in the lead. Gonna swap into my Galarian Slowbro. We bait out a Claydol, and this is pretty good for us now that we're running Surf, because we will be able to hit for super effective damage. A Surf doesn't do that much damage, but a second Surf will be enough to take them out, and we get there on the CMP tie, which is massive. We force them to throw their energy, and it's pretty much going to waste here. They would have been able to shield once, fully farm me down, but now I can come in with my Slowpoke, fully Water Gun, farm them down here, and come out with a decent amount of energy. Now my opponent is probably going to come back in. No, they come in with Bruxish, and Bruxish, you can see this is awful for my team. They're going to resist everything from my Slowpoke, but I realized that Bruxish is a very glassy Pokemon, so we can get to 2 Psyshocks, and we do grab a shield. They now have no shields remaining, so that's really good for me. Gonna shield the Psychic Fangs, and gonna go for the full Hex farm down. Unfortunately, not quite able to get it before a second charge move comes through, but that's fine. We had 2 shields there. We go for a Shadow Ball into the Gardevoir, coming back in, and Shadow Ball takes them out, and I'm able to take that game. Into the next game, we see another Malamar in the lead. You don't really want to see this with this team, but we won the last battle, so let's see how this goes. Opponent gonna go straight for that Foul Play, and once again we should get to the Water Pulse 1 turn before the second Foul Play, and my opponent actually shields it this time, and that is quite significant because unfortunately that's not very good for us. They also overfarm massively, knowing that Water Gun and our charge moves are a pretty slow combination. Gonna shield up the charge move here. They go for a Foul Play, and they will be able to make it to a second Foul Play. I can't afford to double shield here, so I will let this one go through. My opponent comes in with a Galarian Slowking again. Unfortunately, I don't throw any of my energy straight away, so here I'm kind of forced to call a bait. They go for the Shadow Ball. It nearly takes me out. We get to our own Shadow Ball, but they can shield this up, and at this point it's game over. You will see that I could have made it to 2 Surfs, and 2 Surfs are actually enough damage to take out the Galarian Slowking, and this will now take them out. We're going to see they also had Galarian Rapidash in the back, so there was a chance for me to win that game. I just misplayed it there, so GG's to that opponent. Into the next game, we see Galarian Rapidash in the lead. My opponent's going to swap into Malamar to counter my Slowbro, and they're going to go straight for the foul play. We should tank that quite comfortably. They're going to have to throw another foul play to take us out. We go for a Sludge Bomb, grab a shield from the opponent, and we make it to a Surf on the CMP tie, which is massive. And my opponent also shields it up, so that's amazing for me. We do now have a shield advantage. Gonna come in with my Slowpoke, and we've seen already, we do tank a foul play quite comfortably. Foul play does some decent damage there. Unfortunately, they will make it to another foul play, but we can safely shield this and then fully farm them down. But actually, we're going to swap into the Slowking, and we're able to fully farm them down with Hex, and that's a lot better for us because Shadow Ball is a lot more threatening. They come in with the Galarian Rapidash. I'm going to let it go through. It is just a body slam. Going to go straight for that Shadow Ball now, and this will be enough to take out the Rapidash, and they've got a Victini in the back. This is looking to be a very good game for us now. My opponent realizes that, and they concede the match. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we see a Galarian Slowbro in the lead. Gonna stay in initially, and we will make it to a Psyshock 1 turn before they make it to a potential Sludge Bomb. So gonna go for the Psyshock, grab a shield, swap into my own Slowbro, expecting them to throw straight away. They don't. But in the end, they still go for the Sludge Bomb, which is resisted, which is big for me. They also swap out, and we get to the Sludge Bomb on the CMP tie once again, and this does connect. I'm happy to let Slowbro go down. I'm gonna come in with my Slowpoke, commit 1 shield, and then go for a full water gun farm down. So here they will make it to the foul play, but I will shield this up and come out with a decent amount of energy. I do now have a Psyshock loaded, so if they come back in with the Slowbro, I'm going to be able to get to a Psyshock here, and once again, I think I will try and make a catch onto my Slowking. Unfortunately, opponent doesn't throw, but they come in with Victini, and they go for the V-Create. That's amazing for me, because now I can overfarm by 3 hexes, go for a Surf, and because they debuffed their defense, this Surf now takes out the Victini, and I've got a Shadow Ball loaded. There's nothing they can throw that will take me out here. Surf doesn't do much damage. We've got a Shadow Ball loaded, and Shadow Ball is enough to take out this Galarian Slowbro after we stop lagging, and we're able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we see another Malamar in the lead. Very unfortunate, but it is what it is. Once again, we're going to play this out exactly the same. Let the first foul play go through, and once again, we will make it to a Water Pulse just before they make it to the next foul play, and there's really no reason to bait with a Psyshock. Psyshock is so heavily resisted that the risk from baiting is just too much. So I'm going to now let this foul play go through, and they have unfortunately overfarmed quite a lot. And the opponent comes in with their Galarian Slowking, and unfortunately this is kind of just a guessing game. Are they going to go for Surf Bait? Yes, they do, and unfortunately I do shield up. Going to go for my Shadow Ball here, full send it. And my opponent does correctly shield it up, which is really frustrating for me, but that's just how it goes. Gonna shield up again, and it's another Surf Bait, and at this point I have literally no clue how much energy they've got. Wasn't really keeping track, but because they baited me twice, I just go for the Shadow Ball straight away, and my opponent correctly overfarms as much as possible, goes for the foul play. They take me out, and at this point they're at another foul play already. Foul play does big damage. They swap into their own Galarian Slowbro. I recognise there's no way I win this, so I'm going to let them get off the Surf, and Surf does take me out, and I do lose that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we see another Galarian Slowbro in the lead. Gonna stay in initially once again, go straight for that Psyshock. We will get there 1 turn before the Sludge Bomb, and once again, probably gonna swap out and try and catch onto my Galarian Slowbro. My opponent doesn't throw straight away, but they do end up throwing. This time they go for a Surf, which is the correct play. But once again, they swap into Malamar, and we get to the Sludge Bomb just in time as they reach the foul play. They let it go through, and once again, we're going to play this out exactly the same. Let this foul play go through, come in with my Slowpoke, and I will be able to one shield fully farm down the Malamar. So my opponent's going to go for the foul play here. We will shield it up and then commit to the full water gun farm down, and once again come out with a Psyshock loaded. Now my opponent is going to come in with a Galarian Rapidash, so we're not going to go for the Psyshock, go straight for the Water Pulse here, and this does get a shield from my opponent. And at this point I'm happy to let Slowpoke go down. But they go for a Body Slam bait, and they swap into their own Galarian Slowbro, so I can now swap into my Slowking, commit no shields whatsoever, fully Hex farm down the Slowbro. We get to a Surf. Unfortunately they do throw here, gonna shield it up, probably just a Body Slam. It is a Body Slam, but that's absolutely fine. Gonna go for the Surf. We've got the back-to-back loaded, and I don't really know how much energy they've got now. Just gonna go for another Surf, guarantee the damage, and at this point they need to Mega Horn or High Horsepower to take me out, but it's just a Body Slam, so I'm able to tank that and take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game we see Victini, a very good lead for the Slowpoke. My opponent's also staying in for some reason. They're going to go for a charge move. We will comfortably tank this. Just a V-create. They're now going to swap into Malamar, and this is a bit tricky. I'm going to stay in, go for the Water Pulse, and because I've got Surf coverage on both my other Pokemon, I'm happy to let the Slowpoke go down here. And now I'm going to come in with my Galarian Slowbro, commit one shield, and I should be able to fully farm them down, hopefully before they make it to another foul play, and yes, we are able to do so. That is great for me. My opponent is now going to come in with their Victini. We get off the Surf, and this should be grabbing a shield from the opponent, and it does grab a shield. And my opponent overfarms massively, allowing me to get to another Surf up against this Victini, and we grab the final shield from the opponent. Opponent going to go for the V-create. We actually tank it, so I'm going to swap into my Slowking, and my opponent comes in with a feint attack Bronzong. I should be able to live this, so I'm not going to shield it here because a V-create would do more damage than a Heavy Slam. Going to go for the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball barely doesn't take them out. I'm able to farm them down, get to a Surf in time, and Surf from this range will easily take out the Victini, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game we see a Bruxish in the lead now. This is a very tricky lead. Gonna swap into my Galarian Slowbro, and we unfortunately only get to one charge move, but on the chance that my opponent does swap out eventually, gonna go for the Surf bait, and we do grab a shield anyway, so that's fine. My opponent gonna go for a Psychic Fangs. That actually takes me out, but that's also fine with me, and I'm going to come in with my Galarian Slowking, going to go for the full Hex farm down. My opponent comes in with their own Slowking. I'm going to go for the Shadow Ball here. I really hope this does connect, and my opponent actually uses their final shield, so that's also okay with me. Going to shield up. It is a Shadow Ball, so I can now go for the Shadow Ball myself just before they make it to a Surf, and this Shadow Ball will take out the Slowking. My opponent is going to be coming in with the Bruxish. Once again we get to a Surf here, and this should be taking out the Bruxish, and then I'm instantly going to swap into my Slowpoke, and it's a Galarian Rapidash in the back, and this is going to be a very tight matchup. Gonna shield here, and it is a Body Slam bait. That's unfortunate, and because we had a one-turn swap, they get to the next charge move on a CMP tie. Mega Horn takes me out. And unfortunately, even though I've got enough health to get to a charge move, it's just not enough because they get to the Body Slam in time, and it does take me out. So I'm wondering if I went for a Psyshock there, would that have been enough damage? I'm not so sure. Let me know in the comment section if it was enough damage. And into the next game, my opponent swaps into Galarian Rapidash after leading with a Shadow Metagross. They go for a Body Slam bait, and that's unfortunate. We're now going to go for a Surf here, as I know they get to the High Horsepower or Mega Horn extremely quickly, and I'm actually going to let this go through. I'm happy to let us go down. High Horsepower connects, and it does take me out, but I realize that my Galarian Slowking has a good matchup up against the Metagross as well, so I don't really need switch advantage, and a small energy advantage is actually quite nice. I'm now going to go straight for the Shadow Ball, no point in baiting. My opponent calls it, they let the Metagross go down, and my opponent has a Shadow Gardevoir in the back, so fortunate for me that they were running double Fairy there. But into the next game we see another Bruxish in the lead, not very good once again, but we're going to swap into the Slowbro. The opponent actually swaps out into their Galarian Slowking. We're going to be able to make it to 2 Surfs here, trying to throw on the CMP tie, but the opponent doesn't throw straight away. We do land the second Surf, which is big. They've now farmed to a Surf and a Shadow Ball, so that's fine. Gonna let us go down here. Gonna come in with my Galarian Slowking. I will shield this up, should be a Shadow Ball. It is a Shadow Ball, and my opponent is gonna be coming in next with a Galarian Rapidash. Gonna go straight for the Shadow Ball, no point in baiting here, and if this does land, which it does land, oh my gosh, why didn't they shield that? And now here, I'm actually gonna be able to fully fast move down a Bruxish. And my opponent has no more opportunities to use a shield here. Gonna get as much hex damage as possible. Come in with my Slowpoke, and resisted Water Gun, farm down a Bruxish to take that game. What a crazy game there. Into the next game, we see Victini in the lead. My opponent safe swaps into Galarian Rapidash. Gonna call that they're going for the nuke move, and they go for the Mega Horn. We correctly shield it, which is great, and they do make it to a body slam in time, but that's fine. We can very comfortably let that go through. Now we're down a shield, but we have back-to-back Surfs loaded, which is absolutely great here. They let the first one go through, makes a lot of sense. Second one should be grabbing a shield from the opponent, and it does grab a shield. And at this point, the Slowbro has done its job well. V-Create connects, it does big damage, takes us out. They come in with a Bruxish, and once again, gonna respond with our Slowking. Gonna shield up the Aquatel, which is great for us. They don't debuff my defense. I'm now gonna go for a Surf, and Surf will be grabbing the final shield. We get to a Shadow Ball in time. I'm actually gonna considerably undercharge this, so they get very minimal farm on the Victini. That's the only win condition. And now I can come in with my Slowpoke, fully Water Gun, farm down the Victini, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game we see an Alolan Raichu in the lead. Gonna swap out here into my Slowbro, and the opponent does go for a charge move. Gonna let it go through, and it's just a Thunder Punch, which is really nice for me. They now respond with a Feint Attack, a Bronzong, and unfortunately this is a really bad matchup for us. I will barely make it to the second Surf, but it doesn't really do much for me here. Unfortunately, they resist the fast move, well, they double resist Poison Jab actually, so yeah, not looking good for us. Gonna come in with the Slowpoke. I will commit one shield, could be a payback. It is the payback, so that's a good shield, and I will be able to fully farm them down before they get to another charge move, so that's actually quite good for me. They're now gonna come in with Malamar, and at this point I don't think there's any way I can win this game here. Gonna go for the Water Pulse. It does connect, it does some decent damage, but it's just not gonna be enough. Gonna let the Foul Play go through, come in with my Galarian Slowking, and unfortunately I'm gonna have to shield this charge move here. Foul Play would have done big damage here. My opponent swaps into the Alolan Raichu. Gonna go for a Surf here, and if they let this go through, they're only gonna be able to get off a Thunder Punch. My opponent recognizes that, so they go for the Thunder Punch straight away. We do tank that, but unfortunately we're just not going to be able to get to 3 charge moves up against this Malamar. We get to the first Surf, does grab the first shield, and I need to get to the back-to-back Surfs. I'm not able to do so. This Foul Play going to be taking me out, and I do lose that game there. So unfortunately, pretty much an impossible team for me to beat there. But into the next game, we see another Alolan Raichu. Gonna swap into my Galarian Slowbro once again. Gonna let the move go through, and the opponent goes for a Thunder Punch bait before swapping into a Bite Bruxish. We go straight for the Sludge Bomb. It connects, it does big damage, and now I'm gonna be able to come in with my Slowpoke and fully Water Gun farm them down. And we do resist all the charge moves here unless they're running Crunch, which typically they don't. Unfortunately, they barely get there in time. Psychic Fangs resisted, like I said. We don't get to the Water Pulse, so I'm just going to have to go for a Psyshock, and Psyshock does grab a shield anyway. We come in with the Galarian Slowking, gonna shield up the charge move. It is a Wild Charge, which is massive. They come in with their own Galarian Slowking. We're going to go for the Shadow Ball, and this should do big damage. Unfortunately, it barely doesn't take them out, but I can shield here, and I realise that my opponent is going to have to go for a wild charge to take me out, and that will debuff their defense, so I should be able to water gun farm them down. They actually just go for the Thunder Punch, doesn't matter. I'm able to Hex, farm down the Raichu, and take that game. Into the next battle, we see a Galarian Slowking in the lead here, and I do lose CMP up against the Slowking, so I'm going to overfarm here. Gonna use the shield. My opponent goes straight for the Shadow Ball, which is great. We're now gonna go for a Psyshock just before they make it to the next Shadow Ball. Psyshock does grab a shield, and we get to a second Psyshock just barely in time before they can throw their charge move, and that does grab the second shield from the opponent, so I'm happy to let the Slowpoke go down. Slowpoke has grabbed both shields. We're in a really good position here. I should be able to shield once and fully farm down this Galarian Slowking. They go for the Shadow Ball and they actually swap into Malamar. Gonna go for 3 hexes, go for a Shadow Ball, and then swap into my Galarian Slowbro. And at this point, I'm just hoping to get as much poison jab damage as possible. They actually go for a Hyper Beam. I have no idea why they did that, but I'm able to fully farm them down. They come back in with the Slowking here. We go for the Surf, take them out, and my opponent has a Galarian Rapidash. We can go for the Sludge Bomb, and Sludge Bomb from full health is enough to take out the Rapidash, and I'm able to take that game. Into the next game, another Alolan Raichu lead. You hate to see it. We swap into the Slowbro once again. The opponent gonna go for the charge move straight away. And this time they full send the wild charge, but they stay in, allowing me to get to a Surf. And this, because they've debuffed their defense, will grab a shield. My opponent now has a decent energy advantage here. We come in with our Galarian Slowking. They're going to overfarm massively, but they won't make it to back-to-back charge moves. They go for the wild charge once again. I'm able to Hex, farm them down. They come in with a Bruxish once again. I'm going to go straight for that Shadow Ball, hoping they call the bait. They don't call the bait, which is unfortunate, but I still make it to another Shadow Ball in time. And this Shadow Ball will be taking out the Bruxish. I wait to see what they come in with. It's a Shadow Gardevoir. I can come in with my Slowpoke, and at this point my opponent is not going to be able to get to a charge move or 2 charge moves there, so I'm able to take that game. And into the final battle, we see Malamar in the lead once again. Not so great for us, but once again play this out exactly the same. Let the first foul play go through, and we will make it to a Water Pulse just in time before they get to the second foul play, and it's really up to my opponent what they want to do here. They do shield up the Water Pulse, and it looks like they're gonna go for the back-to-back charge moves here, so if I did shield, I would have to let it go down anyways. I'm now going to come in with my Galarian Slowbro here. Let the first move go through actually, and then just put it all onto my Slowking. I will now commit a shield, but I should be able to Hex farm them down fully. And here I go for the Surf. I'm at the back-to-back charge moves now, and I'm expecting them to go for the charge moves straight away. So now, because they're going to go for a V-Create, this will debuff their defense, allowing me to get off the Surf on the CMP tie, and it now takes out the Victini. We're going to see my opponent comes back in with the Malamar. We farm them down, and my opponent just concedes the match there. Not sure what they had in the back, but whatever it is, it was going to lose to my Slowking, and I'm able to take that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. Massive thank you to my friend who fully maxed out the Slowpoke and double moved it before lucky trading it over to me. There's literally no way I would have been able to make this video without them, so massive thank you. And if you did enjoy today's video, make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. And with that being said, let's get into the shoutouts from my previous video. So firstly, we got Mal Zangetsu who says, with a variety of moves in its pool, my boy Heracross is super underrated. No millennial bias here, not at all. I think they might be a little bit sarcastic with that, but yeah, Heracross honestly got a very diverse move pool. Unfortunately, with the wing attack buff, it's got a lot of threats in the meta currently, but it is a very underrated fighting type. Next, we got Voidmac, who says, really cool team. I think Beware is pretty underrated. Its normal typing really helps versus the ghost types, and it has some decent coverage moves. And yeah, I think it is actually a very sort of unique fighting type that can actually beat a lot of ghost types, so I do think it is very underrated for sure. And finally, we got Jamie Finn, who says, I remember seeing Shadow Hitmonchan on your channel. That gets my vote. And if you don't know, he's hinting at the time when he used a level 50 Shadow Hitmonchan in the Open Ultra League, and those battles are on my channel, so you should definitely go check them out. But yeah, that was a really fun showcase, and Shadow Hitmonchan, certainly a very underrated fighting type. And as for my opinion, I'm gonna have to go with Lucario. Of course, we know how strong the fighting and steel typing is with Cobalion, which is a much bulkier Pokemon, but I think Lucario is really underrated, especially when it runs close combat, because so many opponents are expecting a power-up punch and they just get one shot by the close combat, which is extremely satisfying. So yeah, my vote has to be for Lucario. So with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.